Hey guys, in this video the basket case BMW is getting a facelift. Literally. So, this whole facelift project started with a trip to the junkyard. I was actually at the junkyard looking for something else when I saw an E46 BMW that was the same color as my car. That was the first time I saw an Orient Blue E46 in the junkyard, so I checked to see if it had some good body panels. You see, my car had front end damage when I bought it, and the front bumper was missing. Also, the left front fender was mangled so badly it was difficult to open the driver's side door. So one of the first things I did after I bought the car was to get a front bumper and a fender. But at the time, the only parts I could find were from a black car, and they weren't in the best shape. So I was excited to find an E46 that was the same color as my car, and it still had the front bumper. Actually, someone was even nice enough to remove it for me. But there is a catch. This car is a facelift model. My car is a pre-facelift. I wasn't sure if the bumpers are interchangeable, so I tried fitting the bumper on a pre-facelift E46 in the junkyard, and I immediately found an issue. The corner supports for the bumper are completely different. So I grabbed the bumper corner supports for the facelift bumper. Also, that pre-facelift car had a good left front fender, so I grabbed that as well. Okay, so I have a new front bumper and a left front fender for the basket case BMW. Not bad. But before I left, I removed the fog lights from the front bumper, because this junkyard charges for every little thing. And the fog lights were pretty crusty, I don't even know if they were usable. I'll buy some new ones on eBay or something. So we are back from the salvage yard with our new front bumper and front fender. Now it's time to install them. Actually, before I install the front bumper, I'm going to clean it because it's actually pretty crusty. Okay, now it's time to remove the front bumper. It's got two very large bolts that attach it in the front center. To access those bolts, you have to look for these two holes in the bottom of your bumper. Here's one of them. And then the other one is right over there. And you're going to have to reach in from underneath. It's an E12 inverted Torx. You'll need an E12 inverted Torx socket, and you'll need a long extension on the wrench to reach up in there. Oh, and by the way, this is what that bolt looks like. You can see that if the camera will focus, you see it's got a Torx-like head on the bolt, and it's oriented like this in the bumper. Actually, let's take a closer look. Here you can see that bolt. You can see where that bolt lives inside that hole. That sounded wrong, so I think I'll leave that in the video. There we go. And of course we got to do the other one. Okay, now that the big bolts are out, we just have some smaller fasteners to deal with along the bottom. We've got 2 screws for each wheel. Oh, that's missing. Anyway, 2 screws for each wheel well liner, and some plastic rivets for the center, and it should come right off. Oh, and don't forget to unplug the fog lights and the horns too. Okay, the bumper is off. I think I showed this in the junkyard footage, but once again, the corner supports for the front bumpers are different between the facelift and the pre-facelift. So I got to replace these with the facelift bumper supports. And here's what they look like. I think I grabbed the wrong one. I did. And here's what they look like. You can see they're completely different. Also, by the way, they're marked right and left, right on it. So, for example, this one, it's got L for left right there. Also, I noticed these guys only have one bolt hole, whereas my original ones, or I should say my pre-facelift ones, have two bolt holes. I think I'm going to go ahead and drill a bolt hole in this one just so I can have two bolts holding it to the car. Okay, to drill those holes in the, or I should say to mark those holes in the support braces, I used my original pieces as a template. I got everything lined up as well as I could, and then I marked it with a Sharpie marker. And here's what it looks like. All right, there we go. Okay, so the bumper corner supports are installed. I left them a little bit loose so I can adjust them. Anyway, let's throw this bumper on the car and see how it fits. You know, when I did the first test fit off camera, the bumper went on without any problem whatsoever. But as soon as I turn on the camera, it seems like everything turns into an epic struggle. How does that happen? Anyway, we got the bumper on the car. It fits fine. And I must say, it doesn't look too bad either. Oh, and by the way, we got some other goodies to install on this bumper. We got some new fog lights. And we got some LED light bulbs to install in the fog lights. They're actually in the fog lights already. And last but not least, we got a front splitter. So before I install the front bumper for good, I'm going to install this stuff. Now the fog lights should be easy enough to install because they're a stock replacement, so they will bolt right into the stock mounting location. Alright, the fog lights are installed. That was easy enough. Now let's do the front splitter. So it looks like the front splitter was designed to have the two side pieces installed first, and then the middle piece installed after that. So that's what we're going to do. Also, let's talk about the mounting hardware. Okay, so the front splitter came with a bunch of mounting screws. They look like wood screws or sheet metal screws or something. And to put it bluntly, I'm not mounting my front splitter to my car using sheet metal screws. So I went to the hardware store and I got some stainless steel hardware. We have some machine screws with nylock nuts, and we've got some stainless fender washers. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the front splitter has the mounting bolt holes marked. That's pretty convenient. Alright, the front splitter is installed. Actually, it wasn't that hard. I think the stainless steel mounting hardware definitely made it easier. And of course, it's going to hold it to the car better. Speaking of which, let's put the front bumper on the car and see what it looks like. Okay, please excuse my mess, but not bad. Of course, the front bumper still needs some adjustment at the corners, but I can live with that. Alright, let's move on. Okay, I took the bumper back off so I can replace this one fender. And also, I think it would be easier if I removed this wheel, but, yeah. Give me a sec. Okay, that's better. Now I've got some room to work. Oh, I almost forgot. We had to swap out the connectors for the fog lights. You see, the pre-facelift fog lights use, I think, an HB4 bulb. Yeah, also that connector is broken. But the facelift ones are an H11, and they use a different type of connector. So luckily I got these from the salvage yard when I got the bumper. Now here's a funny thing I noticed. These are the original connectors for my fog lights. You notice the wires are different colors. This is the passenger side, which is this one, and as you can see, the wire colors are the same as the facelift fog light. So this one you can't get wrong. But on the driver's side, both of these wires are white with a black stripe. Why is my car like this? I don't know. But I tested it with a multimeter to figure out which one was the ground, and I ran that to the brown wire on the new fog light connector. And of course the other one goes to the yellow with the brown stripe. And here is the driver's side fog light connection on my car. Once again, you can see that the original wires are both white with a black stripe. So yeah, I tested them. I found out that this one is the ground wire. So I connected it to the brown on the new connector. And of course the other one goes to the yellow with the brown stripe. This is important with LED lights because LEDs are directional. If you're using incandescent fog lights, it probably doesn't matter which way you hook them up. Okay, so back to the fender replacement. It's actually pretty straightforward. You've got a bunch of bolts across the top. They're all Torx T30. And then you've got a hidden bolt in each corner of the fender. So this front corner, you've got one right up under here. It's a 10mm. In this corner, you've got one hiding inside the door jamb. You can just open the door to access it. It's also 10mm. And then in the bottom corner, you've got one hidden inside the fender. Focus. Inside the fender, way back here. So you have to undo the fender liner to get access to it. Okay, to loosen up the fender liner, we're going to remove a couple screws, one here and one over there. Why won't the camera focus? Okay, anyway, and we're also going to remove 3 plastic rivets. For these guys, you can just push out the center part with a punch, and then the rivet comes out. Also, the fender liner wraps under the bottom of the car, so there's a couple fasteners underneath that you have to remove also. Okay, so here's what those plastic clips look like. When you push out the center part, it falls out the back of the clip, so you're going to have to fish it out of the fender, just FYI. By the way, these two screws are 8mm. Okay, let's get those fasteners underneath the car. It looks like we've got one over here that's 8mm, and this one I think is 10mm. Full disclosure, my car might be missing some of the fasteners under here, so you might have more. I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I needed both hands for this. But now we've got enough room to get a ratchet wrench inside there and reach that back bolt. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I'm not a chicken farmer, but my neighbor is. Fun stuff. Oh, by the way, there's another fender bolt that I forgot to mention. It's right here. And it's also 10mm. Okay, so at this point I've removed all the corner bolts. I also disconnected the side marker light, and I removed the little piece of headlight trim. It just clips in, so you just pull it loose. Right now all we've got left are the Torx bolts on top, and this thing is coming out. By the way, don't pay any attention to that. That's the next video. You didn't see that. Okay. Okay, up in this corner I see some surface rust here, so before we continue, I'm going to take this opportunity to clean that up and hit it with some Rust-Oleum. Actually, you know what? I've got some of this rust dissolver, so I might as well use it. And it's already starting to bubble up. Wow. Alright, I'd say that's good enough for government work. As you can see, I used some sandpaper. I also used a wire brush and, of course, the rust dissolver. It took, I think, 3 treatments to get it to this point. But, yeah, I'd say that's good enough. We're going to dry this off with a hair dryer and hit it with some Rust-Oleum and continue with the project. On a side note, I wish I had the time to like professionally detail every single little thing, but I just don't have time to do that. You know, just like most of you guys, I work a normal job for a living. This is just a hobby for me. So I don't really have the time to go in depth with stuff like that. Although I wish I did. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm out of Rust-Oleum. We'll just have to use some of this. YOLO! All right, rust equals gone. Me equals happy. See Dick and Jane do math. I like that kind of math. By the way, here is part of the reason why this car is the quote-unquote basket case. This is front-end crash damage. And this is thanks to the previous owner of this car. This, among other things, lots of other things, is what makes this car the basket case. But this is part of the reason why I bought this car, because it's already messed up in the first place, so I don't really feel that bad about hacking it up and turning it into a race car. Hey guys, guess what time it is? It's Fender time. Let's go. Okay, so here's how it looks with the new front bumper and fender and fog lights installed. And the neighbor's chickens are going nuts. Anyway, I wasn't sure how it would look with the facelift front bumper and the pre-facelift everything else. But I can get used to it. Oh, and there's a couple more things I want to do to the front end. For example, I want to install some arrow catch hood catches. And I also made an impulse buy. Yep, we're putting halos on the race car, because reasons. Anyway, that will be in the next video, so stay tuned for that. See you next time.